The stars shine like diamonds outside the great glass windows of the Galactic Peace Council station. Ships from 100 worlds floated nearby, some sleek in silver, others strange and alive. Earth's ship, the Athena, was small compared to the rest, but it stood proud. It was the first time humans had been invited to speak among the great alien races. Captain Rhea Calder stepped off the ramp. Her black uniform was simple, her boots firm on the metal floor. She had dark hair tied back and sharp eyes that had seen many battles. Behind her walked her team, nervous but trying to stay calm. The council chamber was huge. Giant alien beings sat around a circular table. Some had glowing eyes, some floated in water pods, and some were tall helmets with shining symbols. At the far end stood a tall figure in silver armor. His name was Commander Velen, a high-ranking warrior from the Serati Dominion. Velen was famous across the galaxy. He had never lost a battle. He spoke little, and his face was always hidden behind his armor. His people were known for discipline, order, and strength. They didn't smile, they didn't joke, and they didn't trust humans. Rhea stood before them and spoke. Earth is ready to join the council. We offer peace, knowledge, and strength in times of need. An alien delegate with blue skin laughed. Strength from Earth? You are new. You still fight each other. Others chuckled. A few nodded in agreement. Rhea didn't get angry. Instead, she smiled. We learn by fighting. That's why we're still here. Velen watched her from behind his helmet. He said nothing. Later that evening, Rhea stood alone on a balcony, looking at the stars. She wasn't hurt by their words, but she knew it would be hard. Many of these species had been part of the council for centuries. Earth was just a baby to them. She heard footsteps behind her. Turning, she saw Velen. You didn't answer the insult, he said. His voice was deep and calm. I didn't need to, Rhea replied, crossing her arms. Words are cheap, actions speak louder. Velen stood beside her, arms behind his back. Serati don't joke. We speak only truth. Then you must live a very boring life, Rhea said with a grin. He turned his head slightly toward her. You smile often. It keeps people guessing, she replied. Velen was silent for a moment. Then he said, humans are not what I expected. Good, Rhea said. We're full of surprises. The next morning, an announcement echoed through the station. Captain Rhea Calder and Commander Velen. Report to Mission Deck 7. Immediate assignment. When Rhea arrived, she found Velen already waiting. A hologram showed a small moon called Orcs 9. There was a disturbance, the Serati officer said. A rogue group attacked a trade outpost. The council wants the commanders to investigate. Neutral ones. Rhea raised her eyebrows. You mean us? Velen nodded. It is a test for both of us. They boarded a small shuttle together. The ride was quiet. Rhea tried not to look at Velen too much, but she was curious. What did he look like under the armor? What did he think about humans? Really? They landed on Orcs 9. The outpost was dark, damaged. Smoke rose from broken machines. No sign of life. They moved carefully, scanning the area. Suddenly, from the shadows, beams of energy fired at them. They dropped behind cover. Rogues. Rhea shouted. 3 of them, behind that crate. Velen didn't answer. He jumped over the crate with smooth, fast moves and disarmed enemies in seconds. Rhea shot the 3rd in the leg and rushed forward to help. After a short fight, the attackers were tied up. Velen looked at her. You are skilled, he said simply. So are you? Rhea replied. Guess we both passed the test. They set up camp while waiting for pickup. A fire crackled in the cold air. Velen sat across from her. Helmet still on. Tell me, Captain, he said. Why do humans laugh when others mock them? Rhea thought for a moment. Then she leaned forward and said, because if we let every insult hurt us, we'd never grow. He didn't reply right away. Then he asked, what do humans desire? Truly, Rhea looked at him for a long moment. The firelight danced in her eyes. Then she grinned. You. Velen stiffened slightly. I mean it. Rhea added, you stand for everything your people believe. Order, strength, control. But deep inside, I think you wonder what it's like To be free. He didn't speak. The fire cracked again. The wind was cold, but Rhea felt warm. You don't have to wear the armor forever, she whispered. Velen turned his head slowly. For a second, the metal on his helmet shimmered and Rhea thought she saw a small light inside. Not anger, not fear, but curiosity. The stars above Orcs 9 slowly faded as dawn arrived. Captain Rhea Calder stretched her arms and looked at the dying fire. The warmth of the night was gone, but her memory of Velen's question still stayed strong. What do humans truly desire? He had asked, and she had answered without fear. You. Now, as the cold wind brushed over them, Velen sat still. His armor reflected the soft light, but his thoughts were hidden beneath it. A council shuttle arrived within the hour. The pilot, a blue-skinned Marnik officer, nodded at both commanders. Council requests a second mission, he said. You two are being sent together again. Rhea raised an eyebrow. Again, the officer nodded. A mining colony on Nerith 6 has gone silent. The council suspects another rogue faction. You're to investigate immediately. Velen stood. Understood. Rhea sighed. No rest for the brave. As they flew toward Nerith 6, Rhea tried to break the silence. She turned to Velen. You didn't answer me last night. Velen didn't move. About what? She smiled. About my answer. When you asked what I desired, there was a long pause. Then he said, Sarati do not speak about personal things during missions. Rhea rolled her eyes. Well, humans do. It helps us think. Velen said nothing more, and Rhea leaned back in her seat. Still, she noticed his hands were tighter than usual. His fingers curled slightly on the edge of his armrest. Nerith 6 was a dry, rocky world. The mining base was hidden inside a canyon. When they landed, the doors were open, and no one came to greet them. Rhea stepped forward, scanning with her wrist computer. No life signs. Not a good start. They walked deeper into the tunnels. The lights flickered. The walls were cracked. Tools were left on the ground like people had left in a hurry. Suddenly, a sound echoed from the lower level. Did you hear that? Rhea whispered. Velen nodded. Prepare for contact. They moved fast and silent, like shadows. In the main chamber, they found 4 miners tied up, weak and afraid. Rhea ran to them. What happened? One of them, a human man, spoke shakily. They came metal suits. Not from the council. They took the core crystal and left. Velen's voice was sharp. Which direction? The man pointed toward the mountain pass. They went that way. They weren't from the council, and they weren't Sarati either. Rhea looked at Velen. Looks like we're chasing shadows. They followed the trail through sharp rocks and wind-blown paths. It led to an old Sarati outpost, half buried in dust. As they entered, Rhea noticed something strange. The building had Sarati signs, but they were scratched out. New markings were written in red dot inside. They found more than rogue fighters. They found proof. A small data cube, hidden under a table, showed plans to attack council ships and frame Earth. Rhea held the cube tightly. This is big. Velen nodded. Yes, and dangerous. Before they could leave, footsteps came from the far end of the hall. Armed rebels appeared. They were not Sarati. They were a mix of species wearing stolen armor. Rhea ducked behind a crate as energy blasts flew. They're already here. Velen moved like lightning. He blocked shots with his arm shield and struck to enemies down with precise blows. Rhea used her blaster to cover him. But then one of the attackers fired from the side. Rhea turned to. Late, the blast hit her shoulder, and she fell. Velen ran to her, ignoring the last attackers. He pulled her behind cover. You are hurt, he said firmly. It's not bad, she replied, wincing. But we have to move. Velen looked down at her. He reached into his belt and placed a silver patch on her wound. It hissed, sealing. The injury? You saved me, she whispered. He looked away. You saved me on Orcs 9. She smiled through the pain. So we're even? Velen didn't answer. He just lifted her gently and carried her to the shuttle. Back on the ship, Rhea sat in the medbay, arm in a sling. Velen stood near the window, silent. The cube with the enemy's plan sat on the table between them. This will prove everything, Rhea said. The council needs to see it. Velen nodded. Yes, but they will ask how we found it. And some will not believe it. You think they'll say we faked it? Perhaps. Rhea leaned forward. Then we show them the truth, all of it. Together, Velen turned to her. Slowly, he raised his hand, and for the first time, he removed his right glove. His skin was pale silver, like smooth stone, but warm. He placed his hand over hers. This is trust, he said. Serati only remove armor when we accept someone as equal. Rhea looked at him, surprised but also deeply moved. You're full of surprises, Commander. So are you, Captain. She looked out the window, stars passing by. You know, she said, you still didn't answer me. He tilted his head. About your desire. She smiled again. Yes. Velen paused, then said, quietly, maybe I wanted you to say it. Rhea laughed softly. Well, you got your wish. The shuttle flew smoothly through the darkness of space. Inside, silence rested between Captain Rhea Calder and Commander Velen, but it was not a heavy silence. It was quiet like a calm sea. Peaceful. Honest. Rhea looked at the glove Velen had removed. His hand was still resting over hers. The simple act had more meaning than many words. Your people really never remove armor? She asked softly. Only in front of someone we fully trust, Velen said. For us, armor is not just for protection. It is tradition. It is honor. Rhea looked at the silver skin of his hand. It was smooth, warm, and had faint glowing lines that moved slowly, like flowing light. And now you trust me? She asked, half teasing. Velen nodded. I do. The moment hung between them like a slow heartbeat. Then the ship's alert beeped. They were close to the council station. Rhea sat up straighter. Back to work. The station lights were bright as they entered the council chamber again. The cube with enemy plans was in Velen's hand. As they approached the central platform, members of the council leaned forward with curiosity. The Serati elder, High Commander Thalik, stood. You return early, he said, his voice hard. We bring proof of a coming betrayal. Velen replied calmly. Rhea connected the data cube to the station. A large hologram appeared in the air showing the rebel plans, maps of the attacks, and how Earth would be blamed. The council room fell silent. A Zarn ambassador stood. These plans were real. Yes, Rhea said. We saw the outpost. We fought the enemy. We were nearly killed. High Commander Thalik stepped forward. Velen, you broke protocol. You acted alone, without approval. Velen met his eyes. I followed my duty. I protected peace. Another Serati elder narrowed his eyes. You were close to this human. Too close. You removed armor, didn't you? Whispers filled the room. Velen remained still. Yes, I removed one glove. She earned my trust. Some gasped, others frowned. But Rhea didn't step back. She stepped beside him. I don't care about tradition, she said. He saved lives. We both did. If that makes you uncomfortable, then maybe your rules are the problem. There was a long silence. Then, surprisingly, a small being with 4 eyes stood up. A trill diplomat. I believe them, and I support their warning. One by one, others nodded. But Thalik's voice was cold. We will investigate. But until then, Velen, you are ordered to stand down. And Captain Rhea, you are dismissed from active duty. Rhea opened her mouth to protest, but Velen touched her arm gently. We did our part. He said quietly. Later, on the observation deck, Rhea stared at the stars. Her uniform was still neat, but without her command badge, she felt bare. Not weak but stripped. Velen walked beside her. His helmet was off. Rhea turned, surprised. For the first time, she saw his face. He had strong features, high cheekbones, bright eyes that glowed faintly, and markings across his skin like natural tattoos. He wasn't cold. He wasn't scary. He was real. You, she whispered, you're not what I expected. He looked at her calmly. Nor are you. Why now? She asked. Why show me your face? Because I want you to see me. Not the armor. Not the legend. Just me. She smiled gently. I see you. He looked down. All my life, I was told to obey, to control feelings, to never question orders. Then I met you." She tilted her head, and now he looked into her eyes. "Now I question everything." Rhea laughed softly. "Good, that means you're growing." They stood there for a while, side by side. No words, just quiet understanding. Later that evening, they visited the Athenaria's ship. Her crew welcomed her back with respect. "Even without her badge, you'll always be our captain," her second-in-command said. Velen looked at the humans laughing, working, fixing small things. Even when no one was watching, they were strange, but there was something strong in their hearts. Something his people had forgotten. He spoke to Rhea while they walked through the empty halls of the ship. "My people fear emotion," he said. "They believe it weakens judgment." Rhea shook her head. "No, emotions are part of who we are. Love, anger, fear, they make us human. They make us real." Velen stopped walking. "Then maybe I want to be a little more human." Rhea looked at him with soft eyes. "Then start by being honest." He hesitated, then said quietly, "When you said you desired me, I didn't understand. I was trained to ignore such feelings. But now, I feel something. When I see you, when I hear your voice." She smiled. "That's called connection. It's rare, and it's powerful." Velen nodded. "Then I want to protect it." A warning siren rang across the ship. Rhea and Velen rushed to the bridge. The screen showed a Scifi dreadnought approaching the station. "That ship," Velen said, "belongs to the ones who plotted the attack." Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Then they're not hiding anymore." Velen looked at her. "We must stop them before the council is destroyed." Rhea nodded. "Then let's move." Velen looked at her closely. "You're not even part of the council anymore. I don't need a title to do the right thing." She replied, "And neither do you?" Velen smiled a real, small smile. Then he removed another piece of his armor and placed it on the table. "I walk with no mask now," he said. "Let them see me." The Scifi dreadnought cut through space like a silent shadow. Its black hull hid deadly weapons inside. Captain Rhea Calder stood on the bridge of her ship, the Athena, staring at the large screen. The station's alarms blared urgently. "We have to stop that ship before it reaches the council," she said. Her voice was steady, but her heart raced. Beside her, Commander Velen watched closely. His silver skin glowed faintly in the dim light. He no longer wore his full armor. Only parts of it remained, resting on the table nearby. "The rebels want to destroy the council," Velen said, "and blame humans. They want war." Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Then we cannot wait for the council to act. We must act first." Velen nodded. "We need a plan." They gathered Rhea's crew. The small ship was ready for battle, but not made for heavy fighting. "We can't fight a dreadnought head-on," Rhea explained. "We must be smart. Hit their engines, disable them, then warn the council." Her crew listened carefully. Among them, a young engineer named Jin worked quickly on the ship's systems. Velen studied the dreadnought's design carefully. "There's a hidden vent system on the starboard side. If we can sneak inside, we can plant explosives." Rhea looked at him. "You're volunteering to lead the boarding team?" Velen nodded. "Yes, with you." They flew fast toward the enemy ship. The tension was high, everyone prepared for the worst. When they reached the dreadnought, they cloaked the Athena in the nearby asteroid field to hide. Rhea and Velen led the boarding party through a small airlock. Inside, the enemy ship was cold and empty. The metal walls echoed with every step. "We must move quickly," Velen whispered. They advanced through narrow corridors. Suddenly, alarms blared. Enemy soldiers appeared. Rhea fired her blaster. Velen fought with precise strikes, using his Scifi training. The team fought hard, but the enemy was well prepared. During the fight, Rhea spotted a glowing core, the engine's power source. "If we destroy that," she shouted, "the ship won't move." Velen nodded and covered her as she set the charges. As the timer ticked down, enemy reinforcements arrived. The boarding party was trapped. Rhea's arm brushed against a sharp metal pipe. During the fight, she winced, but kept moving. Velen saw her struggle and stepped forward. "Captain, you must retreat," he said. "I will hold them." "No," Rhea said firmly. "We are in this together." They fought back to back. defending each other from the attackers. The explosives detonated. The ship shook violently. "Time to go," Rhea yelled. They raced through the corridors as explosions blocked their path finally. They reached the airlock and escaped back to the Athena. Back on their ship, Rhea sat heavily, pain sharp in her side. Velen stood by the window, watching the enemy ship drift helplessly. "We stopped the attack," he said. "But this war is bigger than we thought." Rhea nodded. "Someone inside the council wants to destroy us all." Velen looked at her. "We must find the traitors." The council was divided. Some members praised Rhea and Velen's courage. Others saw them as troublemakers. High Commander Thalek confronted them again. "You broke orders," he said coldly. "You risked your lives and the peace." Velen stepped forward. "We saved the council. We acted for peace." Rhea's eyes burned. "We risked everything because no one else would." Days passed, and the threat remained. Rhea and Velen grew closer, sharing their fears and hopes. One night, in the quiet of the Athena, Velen removed his helmet completely. Rhea saw the soft glow of his eyes and the gentle lines of his face. He reached out and took her hand. "Captain," he said, "you are the first human I trust with my true self." Rhea smiled. "And you are the first Scifi I see without armor." Their fingers intertwined. But danger was still near. A message came from a secret council agent. "They are planning another attack," the agent warned, "this time on Earth." Rhea's jaw tightened. "We must warn Earth," she said. Velen nodded and prepared to fight together. They looked out at the stars. The galaxy was changing, and so were they. The great chamber was cold and silent. Captain Rhea called her, and Commander Velen stood before the Galactic Peace Council once again. This time, they were not heroes. They were accused. High Commander Thalek's voice was sharp. "You broke orders. You acted without permission. You endangered the peace." Rhea's eyes met Velen's. They both knew this trial was more than just rules. It was a test of trust between species. Between hearts, Rhea stepped forward. "We acted to save the council from a secret war. We found proof. We stopped the dreadnought. We did what was right." The council murmured. Some looked doubtful, others angry. Velen took a deep breath. His silver skin seemed to glow faintly in the chamber lights. Scifi tradition teaches control. He began, "But I have learned that emotion is strength, not weakness. Love and trust give us courage." Some members gasped, others frowned. But Velen's voice was steady. "I stand with Captain Calder because I believe in peace, and because I believe in truth." The chamber was quiet. Even High Commander Thalek looked surprised. Rhea smiled slightly. "We don't need permission to do what's right." Suddenly, a trill diplomat stood. "I support them. Their courage saved us all." One by one, more members nodded. But Thalek shook his head. "Despite this, Captain Calder, you are dismissed from active duty. And Commander Velen, you are ordered to return to Scifi command." Rhea's heart tightened, but she held her head high. Velen reached for her hand. "We are stronger together." Outside the chamber, the two walked silently. The weight of the trial still hung over them. Rhea looked up at the stars shining above the station's observation deck. "Velen," she said softly, "I'm not afraid. No matter what happens, I know you are by my side." He smiled. "And I with you." For a moment, they simply stood, watching the stars. Then Velen asked quietly, "Now that titles are gone, what do you desire?" Rhea grinned. "You, still." Velen's eyes shone. "Then we will face whatever comes together." Days passed. Rhea stayed on the Athena, no longer captain, but still part of her crew. Her team respected her deeply. Velen prepared to return home, but something held him back. He walked to the ship's bridge, where Rhea was captain. He said, "I refuse to leave you now." Rhea looked surprised. "Why?" "Because I have seen what humans can be. Brave, honest, full of heart." She reached for his hand. "Then stay. Fight with me." Velen smiled, his silver hand warm in hers. Together, they prepared for the next challenge. One evening, as they watched the stars, Rhea shared a story from Earth. "In my world," she said, "we have a saying, true strength is not in power, but in standing for what you believe." Velen nodded slowly. I wish all Serati felt this way. Rhea laughed softly. Maybe they will someday. Velen looked at her with hope. Suddenly, an urgent message arrived. Threat detected. Rogue fleet approaching Earth. The crew sprang into action. Rhea and Velen stood on the bridge, ready. Time to protect home. Rhea said. Velen nodded. Together, the battle was fierce. The rogue fleet was large and well-armed. Rhea's ship darted between enemy fire. Velen coordinated their attacks. The crew worked as one, pushing back the enemy. In the heat of battle, Velen shouted, Rhea, cover me. She fired at incoming ships, buying him time. Velen charged forward, disabling the lead enemy vessel. The rogue fleet began to retreat. Cheers erupted on the Athena. After the fight, Rhea and Velen stood together, tired but victorious. You fought. Well, Rhea said. So did you? Velen looked into her eyes. I have learned much from you. And I from you, Rhea replied. They smiled, knowing this was just the beginning. Months had passed since the great battle. The stars outside the Galactic Peace Council station shone bright and clear. Captain Rhea called her, and Commander Velen stood side by side, watching the vast galaxy. Their actions had changed many things. Earth was no longer seen as a reckless new member, but as a strong, trusted ally. The Serati had softened their strict ways, learning from the courage and honesty of humans. Today, Rhea and Velen were preparing for a new mission, one that would unite their peoples in a way never seen before. The council chamber was filled with representatives from many worlds. The air buzzed with hope and curiosity. High Commander Thalek sat quietly, watching. Rhea stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. We propose a joint program between Earth and the Serati. A cultural exchange, a chance to learn from each other. Velen added, trust is built not only on battle, but on understanding. The council members whispered among themselves. Then a trill diplomat stood and smiled. This is the future. Together, we grow stronger. After the meeting, Rhea and Velen walked through the station's gardens. Strange plants with glowing leaves surrounded them. Velen looked at Rhea and said softly, You have changed me more than I expected. Rhea smiled. And you changed me, too. They stopped near a cliff overlooking the stars. Velen reached out and removed the last piece of his armor, the chest plate. I'm no longer hiding, he said. Rhea took his hand, feeling the warmth beneath the metal. Back on Earth, preparations were underway for the first joint Earth-Serati Cultural Center. Rhea's team worked with Serati engineers, learning about each other's technology and ways of life. Velen taught Serati warriors about human emotions and how they gave strength. Rhea shared stories of Earth's past, its struggles, and its hope for the future. One evening, under a sky full of stars, Rhea and Velen sat quietly on a hill. Velen turned to her. What do humans desire now? Rhea looked at him with a soft smile. Truth, she said, and someone who sees us for who we really are. Velen nodded. I see you. They leaned close. Their hands joined. The galaxy was no longer divided by fear and war. It was a place of hope, built by trust and courage. Rhea and Velen knew their journey was only beginning, but together, they were ready. As the stars watched over them, they faced the future not as warrior and soldier, but as friends, partners, and something more.